Your top stories this evening, sponsored by Courts, bringing value home. Terrorism accused appear in court via Zoom. Prosecution hands over files to the court. Exxon, MOBIL and partners meet milestone of 900,000 BPD. Untrue that bail is not granted in extradition requests hearings, says attorney DHURJON. And in sport, third edition of the Kashif and Shaghai National Futsal Championship officially launched. HGP Nightly News begins now. Good evening to our viewers here in Guyana and online. I'm Travis Chase with the Wednesday, November 12th edition of the HGP Nightly News. Here's what you need to know this evening. An attorney intends to fight tooth and nail to prove his client's innocence in the recent deadly explosion at the Regent Street gas station. This comes at a time when the prosecution has signaled to the court that it is ready to proceed. Here is more. The prosecution is moving ahead with its case in the October 26 bombing at the MOBIL gas station on Regent Street. So far, 7 persons have been charged in connection with the deadly blast. When the matter was called on Wednesday morning, Police Prosecutor Mandel Moore handed over a file of key documents to the court and promised to submit additional material when the case is recalled on December 3. The prime suspect, 33-year-old Venezuelan national Daniel Alexander Podemo, along with Alexander Betancourt, Johnny Budram and Crystal La Cruz, have been charged with terrorism. They appeared before Acting Chief Magistrate Faith Magusti via Zoom. 3 others, Ramesh Pamdio, Wayne Correa and Jennifer Rodriguez, are facing charges of aiding and abetting. That matter will come up on November 24. However, attorney Michael Puran, who is representing terrorism-accused Johnny Budram, has requested that the police hand over to the defense whatever evidence they have linking his client to the act.
I requested the diary, the charge sheet, and the feeding books from the 27th of October to the 3rd of December. That would have been when Johnny Budram was in custody till when he was placed before the court, which is standard.
Attorney Puran insists that he intends to prove that his client is innocent, maintaining that on the day in question, Budram was merely a taxi driver hired to transport co-accused Crystal La Cruz, as he routinely does.
I think it's an abuse of process to bring Johnny Budram before the court. This thing could have happened to anybody. He is just a taxi driver. He knows Crystal La Cruz, who's a regular customer of his, and she hired him.
A bomb was detonated at the MOBIL gas station on Regent Street on October 26, 2025, claiming the life of 6-year-old Soraya Bourne and critically wounding several of her relatives. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News. Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Anil Nandlal has made it clear that decisive steps will be taken to recover the $4 million owed by Forward Guyana Movement following the dismissal of its case against the Guyana Elections Commission and the Attorney General. Find out more from Tiana Cole.
More than a month after the Court of Appeal dismissed the case filed by Forward Guyana Movement, FGM, against the Guyana Elections Commission, GCOM, the party has still not paid the $4 million in court cost ordered by the court. The payment is due by November 14, 2025. Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Anil Nandlal, during his weekly program Issues in the News on Tuesday, made a disclosure.
If these sums are not paid, at least speaking for the Attorney General, I don't speak for GCOM, decisive steps will promptly be made.
The Attorney General Ford revealed that letters have been sent to Attorney Vivian Williams, who represented Forward Guyana Movement, as well as the complainant in the matter, demanding payment in accordance with the court's ruling.
In advance, we have sent out letters demanding payment in compliance with the order on or before November the 14th. It's $2 million to the Attorney General and $2 million to GCOM. That's $4 million.
On October 2, the Court of Appeal dismissed the Forward Guyana Movement's case against GCOM, delivering the ruling Chancellor of the Judiciary Acting Roxanne Judge noted that the application was filed less than 2 days before members of the discipline services were scheduled to vote. She said the nature of the challenge amounted to questioning the validity of the elections, an issue that can only be addressed through an election petition under Article 163 of the Constitution. Since the case was not an election petition, the court had no jurisdiction to hear it. The court further ruled that Forward Ghana Movement was not denied ballot access as an elector or political party, noting that the party chose not to contest in all 10 constituencies despite being given the opportunity. Tiana Cole reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
Antonio Day tells us now that Exxon MOBIL Guyana Limited and its co-venturers in the Stabroek Block, Hess Guyana Exploration Limited and CNOOC Petroleum Guyana Limited has achieved a new daily production milestone.
ExxonMobil Ghana Limited and its co-ventures in the Stabroek Block, Hess Guyana Exploration Limited and CNOOC Petroleum Guyana Limited, announced on Wednesday that they have achieved a new production milestone of 900,000 barrels of oil per day. This achievement comes just months after the successful startup of Yellowtail, Guyana's fourth offshore project, which has now achieved its initial annual average production capacity of 250,000 barrels of oil per day, the company noted in a press statement. This, combined with excellent operating performance from Liza Phase 1, Liza Phase 2 and prior assets, is contributing to achieving this significant milestone, the company said. We continue to safely deliver industry-leading performance, providing the oil and gas the world still demands, said ExxonMobil Ghana President Alistair Routledge in a statement. The Stabroek co-venturers have committed more than $60 billion to develop 7 government-sanctioned projects on Ghana's offshore Stabroek Block, including Waru, Whiptail, and Hammerhead. The Waru and Whiptail projects, Ghana's 5th and 6th projects, are each expected to produce approximately 250,000 barrels of oil per day. These projects are expected to begin operations in 2026 and 2027, respectively. Hammerhead, the 7th project, is expected to add approximately 150,000 barrels of oil per day when production begins in 2029. An 8th project, Longtail, is currently undergoing regulatory reviews. Once approved, ExxonMobil Ghana expects to have a total production capacity of 1.7 million barrels of oil per day from 8 developments. ExxonMobil Ghana, an affiliate of ExxonMobil, operates 45% of the Stabroek Block. CNOOC Petroleum Ghana Limited owns 25% of the shares, while Hess Guyana Exploration Limited owns 30%. Antonio Day reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
Stay with us, you're watching the HGP Nightly News. Thanks for staying with us here in the HGP Nightly News. It is untrue that bail is not granted in extradition request hearings. That's the argument being advanced by attorney Sayan DHURJON, who represents Azzuddin Mohammed and Nazar Mohammed, as he cites several precedents to support his case. The fiery public back and forth over the granting of bail to the reinvested Nationhood Party leader and Member of Parliament Azzuddin Mohammed and his father Nazar Mohammed in the ongoing extradition proceedings has triggered a sharp response from their attorney. Most recently, Vice President Barra Jagdeo directly criticized Magistrate Judy Latchman for granting bail to the father and son, calling the decision a convenience. Attorney DHURJON, while not directly addressing the Vice President, dismissed earlier assertions that his clients were not entitled to bail.
Now, any suggestion that something improper happened between myself and or the magistrate is not only actionable, it is ridiculous, it is absurd.
Bail was set at $150,000 each for the father and son in the extradition matter, a decision that prompted PPP Member of Parliament and Attorney-at-Law Sanjeev Dattadin to argue publicly that Guyana's constitution prohibits the granting of bail to persons arrested for extradition. Untrue, says Attorney DHURJON, who insists that there are several cases that prove otherwise.
It is untrue that bail and extradition proceedings are not normally granted. There was the case of Junior Da Silva, who received bail from the magistrate Clive Nurse. There was the case of Vitish Guptar, who was wanted in Europe for far more serious offenses than these accused, and he received bail. There was, and we can go internationally even, right? We can go internationally even in the cases of Ferguson and Gabriel Singh, who were wanted for far more serious charges. They were granted bail.
The attorney further cautioned that public criticism of magistrates and judges by officials sets a dangerous precedent.
And it does grave disfavor to that Honorable Magistrate Judy Latchman, who in her entire career has only been known for being a stickler to justice, a stickler to the rules, a strong adherent, a strong supporter of the strict rules.
The U.S. government on October 30, 2025, formally requested the extradition of the father and son, who face multiple charges in the United States. The indictment includes wire fraud, mail fraud, money laundering, conspiracy, aiding and abetting, and customs-related offenses connected to an alleged multi-million-dollar gold export and tax evasion scheme. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News. The Disability Council is encouraging commercial banks to be more efficient by putting better systems in place for persons with disabilities. Marvin Cato tells you more.
The Council of Organizations for Persons Living with Disabilities, GCOPD, has expressed hope that with the announcement made by the head of state in relation to reforms by the banking sector, it is their hope that these banks will eliminate all discriminatory practices against persons with disabilities. The GCOPD, in a press statement, said it has long been lamenting the fact that persons who are blind have been told that they cannot open a personal bank account or acquire an ATM card due to their disability. The organization expressed that many of the commercial banks have attempted to justify their discriminatory practices by claiming that they are following their policies. It must be highlighted that there is no empirical evidence to support such archaic and discriminatory policies. If they do exist, the organization noted. A move towards making the system more appealing to those persons with disability would be most welcomed, it pointed out. The council went on to say that many of the commercial banks and their ATM locations are also not physically accessible to wheelchair users. However, it must be highlighted that while these are the challenges experienced by persons with disabilities, at most commercial banks, there are a few that model inclusion and accessibility by facilitating barrier-free access to financial services for persons with disabilities. The organization reminded that with the positive transformation of the disability landscape over the past 5 years, more persons with disabilities have been able to access jobs, which requires them to have a bank account to receive payment. Further, they highlighted that the Ministry of Human Services and Social Security facilitates the transfer of monthly public assistance grants to personal bank accounts, making it more efficient and comfortable for this group. According to the Council, it is critical that commercial banks address discriminatory practices and implement the necessary measures to ensure persons with disabilities can be able to access barrier-free financial services regardless of their disability type. GCOPD said it is pleased to embrace this essential reform in the banking sector and commits to contributing to the reform process as it progresses. Marvin Cato reporting for HGP Nightly News.
Thank you, Marvin. Total Energies has made a strong comeback to Guyana's oil frontier by acquiring Block S4, a shallow water concession off the coast of the country. The oil conglomerate is now focusing on working with local contractors in the Guyana petroleum industry in accordance with the country's local content policy. Antonio Day will tell you more.
Energy giant Total Energies and its partners, Qatar Energy and Petronas, are vying to strike oil within the next 5 years. Daniel Loranaga, Vice President of the Total Energy, said that the oil company is now focusing on working with local contractors in the Guyana petroleum industry in accordance with the country's local content policy. He made this disclosure to journalists as the consortium inked its petroleum exploration license and petroleum agreement with the Ministry of Natural Resources during a signing ceremony at the Pegasus Suites and Corporate Center in Georgetown.
The local content will be there, of course. We will work with local contractors. In the exploration phase, it's not a very labor-intensive phase, so it will not be a huge generation of jobs. In oil and gas, this ramps up very quickly once you go into production.
Total Energies has been awarded Block S4, located in shallow water offshore Guyana. The French company leads the consortium with a 40% interest in the block, along with its partners Qatar Energy and Petronas. with 35% and 25% respectively. Block S4 spans an area of approximately 1,788 square kilometers, located 50 to 100 kilometers off Guyana's coast in water depths ranging between 30 and 100 meters. According to the Ranagab, the company stated that it plans to start seismic acquisition in the second half of 2026. Since the government introduced a revised production sharing agreement known as a PSA with greater fiscal benefits to the nation, this agreement is the first to be signed. The Total Energies vice president, when asked if he's satisfied with the fiscal terms in the petroleum exploration license and the PSA, gave this response.
Even though the terms of our current contract are a little bit, I would say, stringent compared to the first contracts, I believe it's a natural trend in any unproven basin when it moves to unproven to proven basin. The terms are still fair. I believe that it's a very good outcome.
The exploration package includes a 50-50 profit split, a 10% royalty, 10% taxes, and a monthly cost recovery cap of 65%. Antonio Day reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
Thank you, Antonio, for your reporting. Stay with us. There is more news ahead. Welcome back to the HGP Nightly News. The government is moving ahead with major plans to transform Berbice infrastructure, including the development of the Rose Hall airstrip and several other large-scale projects aimed at boosting the region's economy. Find out more from Tiana Cole.
President Irfan Ali on Tuesday announced that the government is finalizing development plans for the Rose Hall airstrip and will soon issue expressions of interest for the massive project. The head of state made the announcement during the opening of the Berbice Development Summit.
We are now finalizing the document and soon we'll be going out for an expression of interest in relation to this.
President Ali outlined a wide-ranging infrastructure network designed to complement the airstrip and drive national development. These include the construction of a deep water port, enhanced road connectivity, and a new high-span Berbice River Bridge to ensure unimpeded navigation along the river.
2 hope-like canals that will open up hundreds of thousands of new lands for agriculture. The Quarantine River Bridge linking Guyana and Suriname.
Currently, the government is upgrading existing roadways into the 4-lane highway for the New Amsterdam to Mullison Creek, improving access and easing travel throughout the region. According to the president, the overall development plan also includes expansive housing projects, new farm-to-market roads, a modern stadium, and hard-surfaced connections to riverine communities of Oriala and Siparuta.
This plan alone will take a country our size maybe 15 years of planning to get completed. But this infrastructure plan that I've outlined here, we are pursuing to have it all completed within 5 years.
The government has already announced its intention to transform the Latam Aerodrome into a municipal airport and to upgrade the Anna Regina facility as part of broader efforts to enhance aviation infrastructure.
We want to ensure that our investment lead to Guyana becoming the world's hottest destination for agro-processing and food production.
By strengthening logistics and connectivity through projects like these, Guyana aims to position itself as the most competitive destination globally for value-added agriculture and food-based industries. President Ali also revealed that Berbice will be the next frontier of economic growth, with upcoming developments including a gas project, data centers, a second gas plant, and a modern deep water port. Tiana Cole reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
You need to know that the countdown to GuyExpo 2025 is finally over, with the mega event being launched tomorrow at the Sophia Exhibition Center. Hear more from Marvin Cato.
The countdown to GuyExpo 2025 is finally over, with the mega event set to open on Thursday at the National Exhibition Center, Sophia. On Monday, the minister and team did a walkthrough of the facility.
On the opening of GuyExpo, which will be held from November 13th to the 16th, 2025.
The 3-day event is expected to be a mix of business, networking, tourism, a touch of class, and entertainment.
We are extremely excited about this year's GuyExpo. I am privileged to be at the helm of this ministry and my first GuyExpo.
The Ministry of Tourism has pulled out all the stops with the newly minted Minister of Tourism, Susan Rodriguez, promising a spectacle for this, her first time coordinating the mega event.
This year we have done several new things. And so just before we begin the walk through, so that you can see some of the improvements that we've made here at the Exhibition Center.
Final preparation is in full swing for this mega event as excitement builds, which promises an unforgettable showcase of innovation, culture, and opportunity, which awaits all patrons and the participants.
The first thing that we did is to alter the layout. We've improved the layout of the expo to encourage a smoother flow for visitors, patrons, and exhibitors as they come through the National Exhibition Center.
Marvin Cato reporting for HGP Nightly News.
Stay tuned for regional news.
Good evening and welcome to Wednesday's edition of the Regional News. Venezuela is deploying weapons including decades-old Russian-made equipment and is planning to mount a guerrilla-style resistance or sow chaos in the event of a U.S. air or ground attack. The approach is an implied admission of the South American country's shortage of personnel and equipment. U.S. President Donald Trump has suggested the possibility of ground operations in Venezuela, saying the land is going to be next, following multiple strikes on alleged drug trafficking vessels in the Caribbean and a large U.S. military buildup in the region. He later denied he was considering strikes inside Venezuela. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, in power since 2013, says Trump is seeking to oust him and that Venezuelan citizens and military will resist any such attempt. The guerrilla-style defense, which the government has termed prolonged resistance and mentioned in broadcast on state television, would involve small military units at more than 280 locations, carrying out acts of sabotage and other guerrilla tactics. The Gerald Ford aircraft carrier strike group has moved into the Latin American region, U.S. officials said, dramatically escalating a military buildup that has deepened tensions with Venezuela. President Donald Trump ordered the deployment of the Ford last month, adding to 8 warships, a nuclear submarine, and F-35 aircraft already in the Caribbean. The Ford, which was commissioned in 2017, is the United States' newest aircraft carrier and the world's largest, with more than 5,000 sailors aboard. Washington in August doubled its award for information leading to Maduro's arrest to $50 million, accusing him of links to drug trafficking and criminal groups that Maduro denies. The U.S. military has carried out at least 19 strikes so far against suspected drug vessels in the Caribbean and off the Pacific coast of Latin America, killing at least 76 people. Trinidad and Tobago has again distanced itself from a regional call for the Caribbean to remain a zone of peace amid the United States military buildup and tensions with neighboring Venezuela. On Sunday, Community of Latin American and the Caribbean States (CELAC) European Union Summit participants signed a joint declaration in Santa Marta, Colombia, which contains an article citing the situation in the Caribbean and Pacific and calling for dialogue and cooperation. Although present, Trinidad and Tobago distanced itself from that specific point. Late last month, the government also reserved its position during a CARICOM meeting on the security buildup in the Caribbean and its potential impact on member states. All others agreed on the reaffirming the principle of maintaining the Caribbean region as a zone of peace, and the importance of dialogue and engagement towards the peaceful resolution of disputes and conflict. In Sunday's joint statement on the declaration, the CELAC states in paragraph 10 that it has declared itself a zone of peace and is committed to the settlement of disputes through dialogue and cooperation, according to international law. It recognized ongoing efforts to achieve peace in the region and noted discussions on the importance of maritime security and regional stability in the Caribbean. The joint statement, however, ended noting Trinidad and Tobago's distancing itself from this paragraph and Venezuela's withdrawal from the entire declaration. Thank you for watching. I am Tiana Cole.
Delvin Neblet now joins us with HGP's Sports Pulse.
Good evening, Guyana. I am Delwyn Neblet with your HGP TV Sports Pulse for today, Wednesday, November 12, 2025. We begin tonight with cricket. On Tuesday, the Ghana Police Force Officers Cricket Team presented cricket equipment to 15-year-old Keon Boyce in recognition of his talent and passion for the sport. The presentation was made by Deputy Commissioner of Administration and Team Captain Mr. Ravindranath Budaram at his Ivleri office, along with Team Vice Captain Superintendent Ronald Ali. The fast bowler Boyce, who started his career at the Police Sports Club and now plays for the Multinose Sports Club youth team, is a student of the Valmiki College and the son of Woman Superintendent Fidela Boyce. Deputy Commissioner Budaram encouraged Boyce to stay committed to his studies while continuing to develop his cricket career. The initiative is part of the officers' cricket team's ongoing program to support youth development and promote young talent within the police force and across Guyana. Moving into football, action resumes tonight in the Ghana Football Federation's Division 1 Women's League 2025 with two fixtures at the National Training Center in Providence. The first match features Anse Grove United versus the Ghana Police Force FC, while match number 2 currently underway features Manadalas versus Santos FC. More in football, the third edition of the Kashif and Shaghai National Futsal Championship was officially launched on Tuesday. Scheduled for December 9th to January 2nd at the Cliff Anderson Sports Hall, the tournament will feature 48 teams in the senior men's category. In addition, the tournament will feature 8 female teams, while 20 schools will also compete in an under-18 tournament. This year's top prize stands at a whopping $3 million, according to co-director of the Kashif and Shaghai organization, Kashif Mohammed. The winning school in the under-18 tournament will receive a grant of $700,000. Moving into rugby, the Ghana Defence Force hosted their 60th anniversary Sevens rugby tournament at the National Park Rugby Playfield in Georgetown on Sunday. 4 teams, the Ghana Defence Force Rugby Squad, the Ghana Police Force Falcons, the Panthers and GDFA all faced each other once in a round-robin format before the top 2 teams progressed to the final and the bottom 2 featured in a third-place fixture. GDFA defeated the Panthers to secure third place on the back of 2 tries from Lorik Stewart, as the Panthers' Rashawn Daythorne Howell scored 1 try in a losing effort. The Ghana Police Force Falcons emerged as champions, defeating the host GDF 15-14 in an epic final. Owen Adonis, Lionel Holder, and O'Neal Charles each scored 1 try for the Falcons, as GDF's Akbula Silverthorne and Yannick Williams both scored 1 try in a losing effort. Witnessed by national head coach Stephen Lewis, the tournament, which was also designed to assist in the selection of the Green Machine National Rugby Squad ahead of the Rugby America's North Sevens tournament, saw the winners, Ghana Police Force Falcons, cart off with a handsome cash prize of $600,000. And finally, in basketball, action commenced today in the FIBA Women's Caribbean Championship with 2 fixtures at the Cliff Anderson Sports Hall in Georgetown. The first game featured Suriname versus Jamaica, while the second game, currently underway, features Guyana versus the Bahamas. Tomorrow's fixtures feature the Bahamas versus Suriname from just about 16 hours 30 or 4:30 p.m. and Guyana versus the US Virgin Islands from 20 hours 30 or 8:30 p.m. That's it for this edition of the HGP TV Sports Pulse. I'm Delwyn Neblet, reminding you to stay in the game.
Terrorism accused appear in court via Zoom. Prosecution hands over files to the court. Exxon, MOBIL and partners meet milestone of 9,000 BPD. Untrue that bail is not granted in extradition request hearing, says attorney DHURJON. And in sport, third edition of the Kashif and Shaghai National Futsal Championship officially launched. Those are our major headlines. For these stories and more, please go to our website. It's www.hgptv.com. I'm Travis Chase. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.